Good morning, guys. We're skipping ahead almost 200 pages to 306 and 307 because we're going to talk about a flow chart. Now, flow chart is similar to a timeline in that it has to be in order. But this is more kind of like a how-to type thing. This would be like if your grandpa is teaching you how to bait a lure, right? He's going to go with the first step first and then tell you the next thing and then the next thing, so on and so forth. This would be a lot like your auntie teaching you how to cook something, right? You got to have this first, and then you got to pour in this, and then you got to heat it to this, and then you got to do this. You have to follow it in order, and this kind of helps flow and teach you how to keep it in order. This is a flow chart, okay? You can see the similarities to a timeline. Not really worried about dates and things though, but you can see what's going on. This guy is cooking some things. The end result is he wants a BLT, which stands for bacon, lettuce, and tomato. You have to follow an order. You guys know you can't just go to the fridge and get this. You have to make it, right? So the first thing you do is fry some bacon. And the biggest thing in flow chart is that you got to follow this line. Then toast 2 pieces of bread. Then butter the toast on one side. Then follow this line. Oh, spread mayonnaise on top of the butter. Rip off. Okay, you get the idea. But again, if you want a BLT, you have to follow the steps in order. You can't put on the mayonnaise and butter, then slice the tomatoes, then put the bacon on, then toast it, then fry the bacon. Little ridiculous, I know, but you have to follow the steps in order. Again, what's different from the timeline is this generally doesn't last years, okay? This is generally a little how-to thing on how to do something rather quickly. Not that it has to be, but something, done rather quickly, like making a BLT sandwich. I mean, this whole process might take 5-10 minutes, right? Here's another flow chart. Now, this is done by Eve Heaton, who was actually a 4th grader, but she wanted to show you kind of what happens with what they call a ghost town. And take a look. Now, I like that they have the words here, but I also like that she has a picture explaining what happens. But if you also notice, you have to follow the flow of the boxes. I know we're used to reading left to right, but if you do that, it's not going to flow well. In order to go in order, you have to follow the arrows. So, if you want to read the words, you can, but I'll kind of give you the gist of it. But here's what happened. People found gold. It was discovered. So word got out from people out east, and then everybody came in trying to get gold in 1849. By the way, that's why the San Francisco 49ers, who the Cardinals beat, that's why the San Francisco 49ers are called the 49ers. They live in California, which was the gold rush, right? Okay, we'll get to that. But look, all these people wanted to come and get rich, and so they came in, and all of a sudden you got, a grocery store popping up. And then, wait, people need food, so we'll open up a restaurant. And people need a hotel, so we'll open up a hotel. And then they need a doctor, so they open up a doctor's office. So all these people thinking, okay, I'm going to get rich getting gold, but they also need all these other services that you need every day. So they shake for their gold. And then in 1849, all these people moved in, and all these people, and look, you see it's a boom town. They had these whole towns, and then all of a sudden, there's no more gold here. So when you had thousands of people move in, all of a sudden all those 1,000 people are moving out, and that town is literally just abandoned. That's why they call it a ghost town. But so many people moved in to California, and one of America's rules is a state, in order to become a state, needs to have so many people. So many people moved into California that it's actually able to become a state. And so, again, you can see this whole flow chart is about the gold rush. If you'd say, hey, gold was discovered, and then a bunch of people opened shop, and then a whole town was built, and then word got out, that's not in order. You have to follow the flow of the chart to go in order. Now, I'll be honest, this is something pretty similar to what you're going to do tomorrow, but for today, the focus is on able to read a flow chart. Now, some can be pretty straightforward like this. Step 1, do this. Then after you're done with step 1, move to step 2. Then move to step 3. Then move to step 4. That's what a flow chart does. Some are a little bit more complex because there's more steps. But as long as you follow them in order, you're going to be able to get a lot of help. If you do this and then you go down here and then you go to this count, that's not following the chart. You got to make sure you're following exactly what happens in order. That's what you're going to be asked to do here. Please notice right away where the arrows are leading you, because if you don't follow that, it won't go well. Now, much like I said, remember that timeline worksheet on Monday? I'm not saying it's trying to fool you, but it's trying to make sure, are you really reading this correctly? Do you understand what happens first and then what comes next? That's what this worksheet is going to do. So please make sure you're following the steps in order, and then make sure you're answering the questions carefully. It's going to ask you things like, what happens to the flour right after it is sifted? Well, look to find out when it's sifted and find out what happens after. What happens to flour just before it's put into packages? It's going to really ask you those specific questions. This is your assignment. Lord's blessings to you guys as you praise your Savior.